Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Keller, and this is my recording for my database application project. Jump in because I have a bit to share. So here we go. So I created a project using MySQL database, Node Express, JavaScript backend, and HTML JavaScript for the front end. So let me go ahead and get this booted up, and we can see how it works. And since this is just localhost, you can navigate to it from your base page. So nothing too fancy here. I just wanted to focus more on the database than on the front end. I would never claim to be a front end developer. Back end is a little bit more what I do. But what I created is essentially a health plan monitoring app. Call it an app. It's just a very simple thing, but it allows you to create users, create employees, dependents, different kinds of healthcare plans, assign dependents, assign those plans to users, and then generate a report at the end to view what you've done. So let's take a look at some of this. So when we create a user, you come in, you're able to create something. So I'll just punch my name in here. And I'll just say that I make quite a bit of money. I wish. And when we submit it, you can see that I now have multiple values in the database. Let me make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Apologies for my margins on this. It's a different screen than I usually use. But as you can see, what I've just punched in is there. Paul Keller, 34. Here's my start date that I just punched in and $1 million in compensation. You can also see that I've added some things in here to test and to make sure that this all looks good. Let's go home. Let's delete, or actually, let's not delete yet. Let's create some dependents. So my new ID, create an employee ID is 11. So using that, and let's see, I'll add my wife here. And as you can see, it's added my wife. Let's add another one. Go back and refresh that. So you can see that it updates again. These are coming directly from the database. These are stored procedures that are selecting from the employee table, and they're selecting from the dependent table of what I've put in there. So let's add another one. My employee ID is 11 again, and I'll put one of my dogs in here. He's a dog in peace. So, submit, and you can see that's been added. So now there are two dependents at 11. So let's see what happens when you come in here, and let's delete a user. So my user is 11. I've deleted him. You can see that I'm now gone from the database, but along with that, so are the dependents. Those all delete together. So when you remove an employee, their dependents are removed at the same time using a cascade delete. Let's take a look at some plans. Very simple. You can create a plan of any kind. Let's say this plan costs 100. We have a few types in here already. There's vision, health, dental, or life, and descriptions. These descriptions are type text, so they can contain as much or as little information as you want to put in there. And this plan's pretty expensive, so let's submit that. And we'll just come back here, and you can see that it's in there. This is a really expensive plan. So I have 3 vision plans in here, a life, a health, and a dental. So let's go back and let's assign some plans to users. So it looks like, oh, we need to make a new user for this. Let's create a user. Let's put me back in there. I make $1 million. There he is, ID of 4. And we need some dependents here because the health plans are determined by the dependents. So, and let's add in again. Is it log? 7. Okay. So we've done that. So let's assign some health plans. Employee ID is 12. And let's say for vision, I want that super expensive one on number 2. That looks good. And then for health, I'll just take the defaults on the rest of these. Okay, so let's take a look at the report that's generated from this. So this pulls all of the data across all the tables together, the dependents, the different costs of the healthcare, the different compensations that I make, and creates a report. So you can see here, this person, the P1, they make $100,000 a year. Their dependents cost $840. So their total compensation package comes in at this because their benefits add on to theirs. This guy's not so expensive. And then there's me. I'm quite expensive to keep around. I have $1,600 in dependents. So that's pretty much it for these. Let's take a look at a little bit of the back end. So this is the MySQL database. As you can see here, it's got several different tables that it works with, as well as a significant number of stored procedures. So that's kind of the magic that makes this all work. We can take a look at my app.js here. All of these, as you can see here, call define coverage, call insert vision, insert dental. All of these are run off of predefined stored procedures, which you can see have all been defined here. And they all take a different number of variables to be able to insert into the tables. The nice thing about doing it this way is that you pretty much prevent SQL injection, which is can be a major problem if you do inline SQL. So by doing this, it doesn't matter what they put into those. It's always going to do it correctly and try to run those. So let's take a look at the last thing that I have running here. Is we have a function that visually doesn't do anything. So I kind of want to demonstrate what it does from code. So we have a stored procedure called gen change success and gen change failure. These change the cost of plans. So the plans were predefined by a user, but let's say we wanted to define them again. And if we take a look at the plans, let's take a look at vision. You can see it has an ID, a type, a cost, and a description. That cost is a decimal, which is important because you can't have a cost that's text. That wouldn't make sense. So let's call gen change success, or let's select from vision plans and just see what we have in here. So we've got a $5 plan, an $800 plan, it's very good, and a $100 plan, it's pretty expensive. So let's call gen change success 700. So what gen change success does is it locates the highest cost and it adjusts it to whatever I've put in there plus $100. So in this case, let's put 200. So I'm going to expect to see the VID of 2 change to 300. And it does. So that's success. And that's done with a start of a transaction, an ended transaction, and a commit at the end. So let's see what happens if it fails. So let's say we want to put in gen change failure A, the letter A. So what you would expect to see here is it's going to update. The first thing it does is it updates the cost to $100, and then it would update to 100 plus whatever value you fed it. So we would expect this to change if this only gets halfway through this commit or the stored procedure. This should change to 100 when I run this. Let's see what happens. It doesn't. It goes back to 300 because it failed halfway through, and it rolls back the commit to its previous value. And we can demonstrate that one more time. Let's do it 500. This will do a success and change to 600. Perfect. And let's do it. And it doesn't have to be the letter A. I didn't hard code this in. We could do something like this, letter Z. It does have to be a character, but it could be Z. If we run it again, we see that it didn't stick. So it did, and just to prove that it's not doing anything weird, you do select all, you can see that it stayed where it was. So most of these have that rollback built into them, where if you put in wrong data, it will not do anything weird or bad to your database. It just keeps working. Takeaways from this that I got, MySQL is super, super easy to use. This would have saved me a lot of time in previous projects or in personal projects or even a business if I had used this. It's really easy to get up and running with. The user interface is extremely intuitive and the code is very easy. Like, it's not very different from other things, and it's incredibly well documented. It all saves itself. It's very easy to get things going, and it's very easy to connect to from your backend code. The NPM package MySQL and MySQL 2 and MySQL 2 Promise are all extremely easy to get going with as well. And I would highly recommend if anybody wanted to make a kind of a middleware application or a 3-tiered system, to definitely take a look at using Node.js Express, MySQL, and HTML and JavaScript on the front end. Anyways, thank you for your time.